Dear ITC friends, in our short last YouTube video, I told you about the frequencies I tune my radios to. I'll show you the radios because I had some requests from people to show the models of the radios. But what I wanted not to forget to tell you is that when I mentioned those frequencies, which are 11,178 kilohertz, 22,545 kilohertz, 13,250 kilohertz and 250 megas, I didn't perhaps clarify that I use these radios in these frequencies for the direct radio voices, not for the EVPs. I mean, I may, because I never know when an EVP will appear. But these are particularly aimed at the direct radio voices. And I was instructed by my communicators for that purpose with these radios that I showed you in the last video. For the EVP work, it's not necessary this number of radios, not all these frequencies, just a single radio in a soft medium amplitude noise will be sufficient. So do not worry about that for your EVP work. Nevertheless, I would like to say that we never know when the direct radio voices will come. We never know. And when they come, at least in my case, and if I remember, I do not remember very well, but I think I had only one radio. One of the old radios I showed you, one of the old valve radios I showed you, and that was the first one. The first direct radio voice came from that radio. Carlos de Almeida spoke there for the first time, replying to a question I had asked during my EVP work. Therefore, radios are necessary for the direct radio voices, of course, while for the EVPs, any noise is all right. Be it water, be it soft white noise of the radios, provided there are no human voices that mingle into your background noise, for the simple reason that you will be almost for sure mistaken. That's the reason why I do not recommend all these new software that appeared exactly for the EVPs, the spirit box, the ghost box, and so on, because they have phonemes, human speech phonemes, and this is bound to create the so-called acoustic delusions, pareidolia, in a more technical way. So I suppose this chapter of the recording for EVP, that's what we have been doing so far, is practically closed, with the exception that I should show you my radios, emphasizing that they are specifically aimed at the direct radio voices. This is one of the models I use. I think it's called something. SW7600GR. It's a Sony. It happens to be a Sony. I didn't particularly recommend, or I didn't particularly buy Sony because it is Sony. Not at all. It was because the relation between relationship between quality and price was the most favorable. And I have two of these, which is a more sophisticated model, rather powerful, and this I do not know. I can't see here the model, but I will perhaps tell you. Anyway, you can look at it. ICF something 7,000 something. Anyway, easy. These radios were rather expensive. You do not need them. I again really stress this. You do not need these radios. If you have to get direct radio voices, you will get them. If you don't have to get them because either the communicators cannot speak at your house or you are not well suited for receiving them, whatever it is, they told Professor David Fontana that it depends on them. So, and they have said on other occasions that they do not know exactly in detail what it depends upon. This may seem very incoherent from our perspective, but I beg you to think that the logic of the next dimension is not at all similar to our logic. So do not take, please, our methods, our models, whatever they may be, of thought, technical, whatever, as a model for this experimentation. As a model for this experimentation. It is not so. Those are other laws that we ignore. That's a world apparently without time, timeless, in another dimension, in another space. Let's put it this way. So do not transfer our values, whatever they may be, and I'm speaking in general, to that next world. They are not similar. Before closing this recording cycle of our YouTube videos, and before I forget, I want to thank everybody who write me frequently and say they very much enjoyed the videos and that they were very useful. So I thank you all who listen to them and are so appreciative. It's a pleasure to work for people who react like that. You can always subscribe to the channel, my YouTube channel, and you will be informed of new videos, which I suppose we will not do before next September. But I wanted to close this cycle of videos by telling you that one of the recommendations I think is a must is, in the measure that you can find them or read them, do get 3 or 4 works which are fundamental to understand this discipline. Because as a friend who wrote to me today from Brazil said, this is not an amusement. This is not getting voices. It's nothing of the sort. It's a very serious work, which, as Professor Hans Bender classified it, may be the most important thing in the history of mankind. So please, take it seriously. It's not just recording voices in cemeteries and so on. I really detest that type of attitude. Anyway, I want to recommend, if I may use the word, to try and find Friedrich Jürgenson's the only one of his books which is translated into English. Voice transmissions with the deceased, which I've been reading for the last several years since I got it. It was published by the Jürgenson Foundation, and the Jürgenson Foundation no longer exists, but I suppose you may be able to find it in the web. I didn't search for it, they offered it to me. But so I can show it to you, and certainly you may be able to find it if you are really interested. The other one is I have a photocopy, is Breakthrough by Dr. Konstantin Raudive. This is perhaps the best book ever written on EVP. I don't know anyone better. With at the end the testimonies and the scientific comments of a number of very important people from the scientific point of view of his time. So Breakthrough, yes, you can get. It is still sold by Colin Smythe, or you can get a second-hand one. I have a photocopy, but somebody gave it to me. But here it is. Do read this book. And the other one, by a great German transcommunicator, it was published, of course, in German and only translated, to my knowledge, into Portuguese here and French. She was a very good transcommunicator, and she has a number of very important advice. So either in Portuguese or French, if you can, do read them too. To finish this conversation, short also, today, I would like to say that as of tomorrow, I will publish in my blog, which is wordpress.com, and will put it in my Facebook too, the report of a very, very interesting ITC occurrence that happened between Guilherme Campos, who is an ITC operator, and myself. So I think it may become very important in the future, or not, or not. We can never be certain of anything in this field, and I beg you to take this as a principle. Our rules are not the same as the next dimension rules. So thank you very much to all. It was a pleasure to be with you, as always.